How's it going, everybody? I hope your day is going well, and I just want to talk about a couple builds, for one of my favorite classes in the game, the Knight. Now, I may have just said something that wasn't possibly true, but I don't hate the Knight. There's certain things that make the Knight just not as viable. But he's really good up until like chapter 3, 4, but once you start getting better options, I don't know. Once you get white knights and stuff, I don't know. So, main thing, I want to start over here with our spells. I have heal 1, 2, and 3, and you're like, why? Why? Well, there's nothing else he can equip there. I'd have heal 4 there, too, if I had it. Plus, heal 3 and 2 are a little expensive, and honestly, even heal 1's kind of pointless with, like, how much HP units have. So, I don't know. It's nice to have the choice. And what else am I going to use my MP on besides a finisher, which I'd probably save it for the finishers, honestly. It's just nice to have the option. I don't know, there's really nothing else you can put heal. In the beginning when you get a knight with heal right out the gate, oh, it's great. Like, 300 max HP on units, 400 max HP. You got heal on a knight. You're cruising, man. You're healing for like 150, 200 on a heal. It's great. You're healing for like half the hit point value. There's nothing wrong. Dude, wonderful. Love it. But once you start getting hit point totals of 1,400, 2,000, 3,000, it just gets a little rough. You kind of don't really see the need. Now, I use a hammer on my knight. People can go with axes or swords or, crossbows, any of that fun stuff, but I prefer a hammer, and I don't really use the shadows, Rampart and Sanctuary. I don't know if other people kind of really like those, and I would even use, the only time I'd even use Sanctuary is if I was in Palace of the Dead, and there were just so many undead. But this is my go-to knight setup. We got the HP, because, he's a tanky boy. He's got to be tanky. We got the Rampart, so he can hold a front line. That's the whole point of the knight, is to hold a front line. And then, obviously, one of the best skills in the game on paper. This skill, on paper, when you read, reduce HP damage taken by 80% until next attack turn. This unit cannot make counterattacks during this time. When you read that, you go 80% reduce damage until next attack turn? Holy cow! So when this bad boy procs, you're like invincible. You're like, dude, everybody hit me. Well, see, that's the problem. On paper, it's great. But in practice, and this is only Phalanx 3. I think you go up to Phalanx 4, which is 85%. Maybe it's 90. I don't remember off the top of my head. I apologize. So it sounds great when you read it. And I was the same way. I was like, oh my god. But here's the thing. Unless your knight is the only one on the front line that's the only option to attack, or, hold on, you could run. Now you could put Guardian Force. If I got rid of like HP and put Guardian Force, it might work a little bit better, because the knight, if there's units next to him with Guardian Force, friendly units up to 2 tiles, he'll redirect the damage to him. So if you're lucky to get Phalanx to proc, and then you have this and you have other units nearby, then it's a little bit better. It's a little bit better because that's your front line. You might have some Terror Knights up there. You might have, who knows what's up there. Other White Knights. And if they're all clustered around the Knight, that's okay. But the problem is, with Phalanx, is you got to get attacked. And the way the AI is designed, it's going to attack whatever unit it can that it can deal the most damage to. So if they can hit your Knight, or a Terror Knight, or a White Knight, or a Rune Fencer, or any other melee unit, a Griffin, whatever's up there within the attack radius, they're going to hit whatever they can deal the most damage to. So even if your knight procs Phalanx, they're going to be like, well, I'm only going to deal 10 damage to him. I should probably hit that Griffin that's right there. And especially ranged units, they're going to ignore you. A ranged unit is never going to attack your knight unless your knight's in an AoE, because obviously they have many other targets they can do. So unless you got Rampart Aura and you got somebody locked down, or you're in like a 1-tile choke point, maybe 2-tile choke point, then you could say the knight would be viable. But how many maps in the storyline are choke point oriented? They're all open-ended. Unless you're in a shrine or a temple, or you're in the Palace of the Dead, you're not going to have, I guess some of the castles kind of have choke points, but then again, they have other ways you can go around the choke point. Like when you do the castle battles, there's not always like, oh, this is the only way to go. There's usually like 2 or 3 ways. So I find the argument that, oh, you put them in a choke point. I find that good if there is one, but 9 times out of 10 there isn't. Until like later maps, yeah, there are to a degree. It's a little bit more common. But, like, chapter 1 through 4, I don't really find too many choke points, or really, if I do try to put him in a choke point, he'll be there. There's like a 3 or 4 tile. Usually they're about 3 or 4 tile wide at the smallest. And units will just drop off like of a cliff. They'll, like, the choke point's like a stairway, and the enemy will just drop down. They won't even go by them. Or, you know, they'll find a way around, and a lot of the obviously flying units. So I don't know. I find it to be great, and this just turned into me talking about phalanx for like 2 to 3 minutes, so I apologize. But it's great. It's great when it works, and the knight, the main problem I have with the knight is this is what makes the knight great, is the skill, because it's unique to the knight, nobody else will get it. And if you can make this work and then use Guardian Force as well, you can be pretty beefy. It's pretty awesome, and I've had it happen a couple, like twice, maybe. So, I don't know, just because it's not so common, I don't run them anymore. I run my white knights, but this is a great setup. This is a great build for the knight. And, you know, obviously with the shield is wonderful because, you know, more tanky, more good. And he is the tankiest unit in the game, especially when this activates. So, I mean, I don't want to discredit him. But I find a lot of the beasts, especially in the main game, obviously beasts fall off late game. But I found dragons and griffins just to be more tanky early on and for the majority of the storyline. And those are my tanks. And even the Terror Knight I find to be relatively more tanky. White Knights, yeah, they're not as tanky because they're kind of a hybrid, but they still work as my frontline tanks, and they can heal a lot more often, and they can heal better, so they have a little more options. But the knight's great for the majority, all the way up to about chapter 3 or 4. I mean, you can run a knight. I've had people tell me they run a knight all the way up to endgame, and they keep running them. And I mean, if you love the knight, you keep going with the knight, man. Don't let me tell you, if you enjoy it, hey, this game's a single-player game. You play what you like. But yeah, this is a great knight build, and I don't think there's much I would change other than, like I said, I guess I'd have to remove Constitution to get on Guardian Force. And I feel like that would really buff the Phalanx, having Guardian Force, especially if you have a lot of melee units and you're fighting a big mosh pit on the front line. So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys use knights? What are your knight builds? Do you have a similar build? Do you find knight to be redundant like I do, especially later in the game? Or are you like knights all the way, man? I run 2 or 3 of them. Forget it, dude. We're locking down some doorways. Now, if you had like 2 or 3 knights, you could probably hold a choke point a lot better, especially the bigger choke points. So let's just keep that in mind as well. I want to state that as well. But thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. I apologize. The video kind of went into another video that I didn't want to do. Don't worry. It happens. I ramble. I don't know. It's just, I guess I'm an old man now, so. But thank you guys again so much for watching. I appreciate all the love and support. And until then, I will see you guys on the next one. Later, guys. Peace.